Go ahead and hit record. I was just going to ask you, how do we know the recording's working?
Zoom tells us now.
Yeah, it must be the newest release. Okay, let's get started then. I call this meeting to order, a regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 20th at 6 p.m. conducted via Zoom. Rosa, would you call the order, please?
Sure. Lance Shaw,
Here.
Chuck Rumberger,
Here.
Jeannie Reddy.
Here.
Thank you. Lori Riley.
Here.
And Jara Peterson will not be with us tonight. She's traveling. Back to you, Lance.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show we have a quorum and we can continue the meeting, right? Item number 2, petitions from the public. Are there any petitions from the public?
Candace, have you received any?
No, I have not.
Okay, then, there being no petitions from the public, I'll continue to item number 3. The approval of the minutes from the regular meeting from September 15th. Do any of the commissioners have any amendments, complaints, discussion, issues that are not correct and accurate? No, hearing no complaints. Okay, then, all in favor of, well, I'll call the question then. Or
I
I
move
guess
that
I
we
should.
approve the meeting minutes from September 15th, 2021.
Thank you very much. I'll second the motion. And there being a motion and a second, I will call the question. All in favor of the approval of the minutes of September 15th, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, so the meeting, that passes. Old continued business, none. Public hearings. I guess I officially open a public hearing then at 6:02 p.m. A public hearing on item number 4, ordinance amendments related to the temporary signs in the commercial and industrial zones. And I have a message from Candace that just pointed out that procedurally that we wanted to have the town council look at this before it came back to us, and they didn't get it onto their agenda. So rather than repost the entire thing with the agenda modified, we made the decision to leave it on the agenda, provided that we can talk the rest of the commissioners into tabling this issue to the next meeting. So I make a motion to that end, to table this to allow the council to look at it and then come back to us in our next regular meeting. I so moved. Do I have a second?
Second it.
We'll give that to Commissioner Riley for a second. And having a motion in a second, I will call the question. All in favor of tabling item number 4 to the November meeting of P&Z, we'll say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll see that again on our next agenda then. Okay, item number 5, rezone from AR to C1. The applicant, Cameron Sinclair and Bethany Halbrecht, want to rezone 6,000 square feet of their property from AR to C1. And there's a P&Z resolution included in our packet, 2021-17, to that end. Usually this is where I would ask my zoning administrator to set up the packet for us and tell us what's in it. Presumably we've already read it. It's the way we're supposed to do it. And in this case, there was quite a bit of material in there. So I guess we'll just move ahead with our discussion, see if anything comes of it. I would point out that in my perception, I didn't have any complaint with this particular issue. The the rezoning properties falls under preview of P and Z. We do lot combinations, that kind of thing. Rezoning is can be an issue if we try to plunk a commercial building into the middle of a R15 district. Can't do that. Have a little ion floating around. In this place, we're just trying to basically clean up a mess and make the C1 area contiguous. It seems like it would help out the town. We have a long-term plan and desire to improve the parking down in that area, and I see this as a benefit to basically clean up some of the mess, relieve some of the concerns we have with liability and some of the issues of our town's right of way, which is another piece of the project. It's generally not under consideration for us. As a matter of fact, the packet did have some information in it about what's proposed to be built there, which is interesting and good and a benefit to the town, so on. But for us, we're just discussing the zoning, not approving the building that's there. Although I would point out that whatever does get built there will outlive everyone on this commission. that building will be there for a long time, longer than we'll probably serve on this commission. But in any case, that's my take on it. Do I have any comments or discussion from the other members? Go ahead, Mr. Commissioner Romberger.
I do need to abstain from this vote as Cameron is currently leasing at House of Joy, and it may be an indirect conflict. So I do need to abstain.
Okay, thanks for sharing that with us. That means we're down to 3. We still have a quorum, but it has to be unanimous. Any other comments or concerns of Commissioner Riley?
No, I would like a little more explanation. So instead of having it be residential, it would be inclusive with commercial, correct?
My residential was an experiment. It was an example. What this is doing is turning it actually from agricultural, from AR,
Okay.
into commercial, and it's just roughly half the lot. It's one of those. It's a lot where the zone is actually cuts across a lot. So one end of the lot is one zone, and one is the other.
Okay.
So we've already approved a residential building in the back half of the lot, which is the AR zone, and that's accessible from Diaz Street, right? And this would be basically making the front end of it commercial, and allow them to build to zero clearance on the front, which would put that building right next to the Queen's neighbor.
Okay.
So what I see is, I mean, I've got the Cuban Queen, the Queen's neighbor, and the developments going on there. The town has an interest in doing some development of the parking space down there, quite frankly, to make more revenue producing parking spaces. And then of course, as you go down the street, down Main Street, you come to a House of Joy and Mimi's and so on, that end of the commercial area. And then of course, across the street is a wine tasting and the candy store and those other shops there. So that's kind of the neighborhood it's in. It makes that lower part of town into a more viable commercial area, I think. So any other discussion, comments, concerns? What I'm driving at here is I don't really see an issue with it. I kind of tend to lean in the direction of approving this resolution, and I'm looking for a reason not to, or some other discussion.
Lance,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Sinclair would like to say something.
Okay, sure. Commissioner, we'll get to that in a moment. Commissioner Reddy, do you have any input, questions, concerns?
No, I mean, I'm kind of thinking along the same lines as you, Lance, that it makes sense to sort of unify that parcel into, one zone. So it makes sense.
Okay.
I haven't heard any reason not to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I guess Cameron Sinclair is on our call.
Yeah, I'm here.
Mr. Sinclair, thank you for showing up. You had some issues, questions, comments?
It was just some added context. I think Lance knows that when I do a presentation, it goes on 45 minutes. So he's done a deft job at avoiding me doing that, especially when you saw the size of the packet. I think I just wanted to add a little bit of information. The lot itself has been a very strange lot because, as Lance mentioned, 65% of it is in C1, 35% is in AR. It has never been an agricultural or residential property since 1917. There was a fire there that wiped out that block, at which time Verde Exploration bought the land and built a pool there. That pool itself extends into the AR, and as a result, the pool footprint is C1. Some other context to that is the previous owner got a CUP, conditional use permit, for a residence on the understanding that whole lot was C1. So over the years, people have referred to the whole lot as C1, and other times they've called it a split lot. And the only reason that it's in AR stems from 2006. A gentleman bought some land in front of the Guth property as the then planning and zoning administrator tried to clean up that land and made it all C1, because that line that splits between AR and C1 was just arbitrary. And in doing so, it meant that that new property owner could build a house there with a 0 setback. And the Guths were afraid that they would lose their view of Sedona. And so they appealed the rezone, saying that because it didn't go through P&Z, it was done without due process. And that decision by the planning and zoning administrator was revoked. She then resigned. The landowner then gave up and sold his property. The AR for those properties remained. We ended up still with a remaining split lot, and no one did anything. And it ended up into yet another interesting lawsuit regarding decisions that were made. So in learning all that process, we wanted to do it the right way, which is we had a community meeting a few weeks ago. We had a dozen plus members there, and we presented not just the reasons for the C1 change, but also what our plans will be in the next 3 to 5 years. And so really, as Lance said, it's about cleaning up the parcel. And then eventually we would build on the end that's already commercial. The one thing that I would want to add to that, which is in the discretion of you guys, is there's a conditional use permit for a residence. We're currently already building a residence. If you go down there, there's demo going on to put the residence. If the whole lot becomes C1, we would have to ensure that that conditional use permit remains, or the P&Z would also issue a conditional use permit for the residence that's already under construction. So I just want to make sure that everything is under is legitimate and above board, and we don't have any weird things like what happened in the early 2000s or in the late 80s. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your enthusiasm for trying to do the right thing and follow all the paperwork and so forth and so on. I knew there was a conditional use permit or for the house on the back of that lot. And I guess Yeah, since that is the piece we're rezoning, it's a good question whether or not the conditional use permit would carry through the rezoning. I don't know. That's
I think legally, we've been talking with Bill Sims, and because our neighboring property is UBX, their legal team has got involved. I think because we've already started construction, we have the right to build the house, because then technically we're having the rezone happening while construction. But I think just to like dot all the i's and cross the t's, it might be good to just have that conditional use permit added to the rezone, so that there's no, someone doesn't show up in 15 years time and say, hey, there's a problem here, we have to redo this again, because that seems to happen time and time again in Jerome. And I would just want to make sure that future owners, or when I get grayer, we don't have to revisit this because of a misfiling, or we didn't make sure all the things were done.
okay. I understand the concern. My only issue with this is a procedural one, and that is the rezoning is not agendized with our item 5. Only the rezoning of AR to C1 is what's listed as a subject matter here, not the rezone, or not a conditional use permit. So I support the idea, and I don't see any problem getting one, but I have a little trouble adding that issue because it is not. I don't want to add to this resolution because it's
Okay,
an agenda.
let's keep it clean then. Let's
It's an agenda.
just focus on the rezone. And
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind adding some other kind of condition to the rezone, but since a conditional use permit is in itself an entirely agendizable item, I'd like to see that come back on another agenda, maybe next
month.
We can say,
Yeah.
listen, let's do a conditional use for the residents on there too. So I don't see any problem with it. I just procedurally, I hate to muddy up my resolution 2021-17.
Great.
Any other concerns or inputs, questions from the commissioners? Okay, I will make a motion then that we approve P and Z Resolution 2021-17 regarding the rezoning of the AR zone to C1 on the subject property. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you very much. With a motion and a second, I'll call the question. All in favor of the rezone, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, and with, let the record show that Commissioner Romberger recused himself and the other 3 commissioners, which is a quorum, has approved. And of course, what the resolution says that we will forward this to the council with a recommendation that we think we should go ahead and do this rezone. And notice to staff, Rosa, if you please, we'd probably like to see, I know without a planning and zoning administrator, we need to start building the agenda for the next November meeting, and we'd like to see help Cameron get it jiggered so there's a conditional use permit for residential use in the back of that lot. Probably have that in November. Thank you very much.
Already been done.
Okay, thank you, Candace. Okay, new business. See, this closes the public hearing. Then we close our public hearing at 6:19 p.m. and move on to new business. Item number 6, a final site plan review for a garage. And this is a case where we approved a preliminary plan with a incentive. It went to the Board of Adjustment, and they said it's okay. So it looks like it's coming back to us for really kind of a rubber stamp. We already said we liked it. We just needed a variance for the setback. So I don't know if is there anything that we need to discuss about this, commissioners?
No.
We're good. Commissioner Romberger, have you unrecused yourself?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My only comment was that it may be a good idea, again, might be more of a pain, that we structurally change the setbacks, because this is the second one that's come up in the last few months about 5-foot setbacks versus whatever, and we have the issue with the 10, 25 foot, and what's front, back, and side. And it
Yep.
seems like the easiest resolution is just structurally change it to 5 feet in every one and not worry about what is front, back, and side. That I don't see really a huge problem with just making the setbacks 5 feet. So there's my comment.
Yeah.
Is
thank
that-
you.
Question, are you suggesting that check for all of the whole town of Jerome?
Yes, essentially, yes. That rather than make exceptions, it's better to make it the general rule. If somebody else comes up and wants to do a 5-foot setback, it would be difficult for us to say no because other people have been approved. And it's bad just to pick and choose. So it seems like a good idea, since we have that other issue with the different, how to figure out what's a side yard in Jerome. That the best solution is just to make it 5 feet for each one and not worry about front, back, and side. It's still a 40% use of the lot. So, if somebody's got 5 feet on one side, there's going to be 10, 20 feet on one of the others. So,
Yeah, I
seems to me.
understand that. Yeah, thank you. I understand the motivation to simplify things and so on. And it's a bigger project. I don't think we're going to tackle that one tonight, but I'm not
yes,
saying,
absolutely. It would be a whole nother issue we need to get on the agenda.
yeah, I'm not saying
I'm
it's
sure
an
it will
awful,
take months to approve something like that.
yeah, really, no kidding. But I'm not saying it's an awful idea. It might have some merit. The only thing that I would say that right off the top of my head that we would be really concerned with is access for firefighting and defensible space, the spread of fire and room for the fire department to get between buildings. Knowing that there are some 5-foot setbacks and then two houses theoretically to be 10 feet between them, I'm not sure if the fire department wants to see more of that kind of thing, a tight space in the back of the building as well as the side and so on and so forth. So there's certainly something worth talking about. But like I say, probably not tonight. But in any case, let's see, can I have I will move that we approve planning and zoning resolution 2021-18 for the review at the garage at the Barber residence. So I've made a motion. Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Riley is a second, and I will call the question. All in favor of the approval of the resolution 2021-18, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Looks like there's no opposition, so the motion carries. Item number 7, final site plan review for a deck extension on a single-family residence. This is similar to the one we just discussed, where we sent it to the Board of Adjustment for a variance, which was approved. So it's back before us. Is anyone inclined to have a problem with this deck extension? Okay, I will make a motion then that we approve planning and zoning resolution 2021-19. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
I'll give that one to
We'll give
Chuck.
that-
Yeah,
We'll give that to Commissioner Romberger. Thank you. Okay, with a motion and a second, I will call the question. All in favor of the approval of resolution 2021-19 for the extension of a deck at the Bauer residence, will say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, informational items, current event summaries. Item number 8, updates on recent and upcoming meetings. Let's see, Candace, you want to give us a summary of these, or Rosa, or should I read through them? I mean, it looks like,
I can.
okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Obviously, the results of the BOA meeting from tonight's agenda.
Right,
that-
they were on items 6 and 7. Right.
Yes, exactly. So yes, the garage for the Barber residence and then Thomas Bauer's deck, both approved. But they did deny the variance for the house at 148 Juarez. And So that did not actually make it to the DRB agenda on October 4th, but the garage and the deck did and were approved. And the Cornish pasty sign was not on that agenda either. I did not get the application in time
Oh, okay,
packet, so that will be on the next DRB meeting agenda.
okay.
And then, do you want me to just move on to the next one?
Did you, yeah,
We didn't have anything until tonight, so now we have the ordinance amendments for temporary signs, on the next P and C. Oh, and then also Cameron's CUP application.
the CUP, okay. All right, sounds good, thank you very much.
Sure.
And then item number 9, potential items for Wednesday, November 17th. Do we have any more to add to that?
No, just the ordinance amendment for the temporary signs that we needed to table for tonight,
Yeah, okay,
and then Cameron's CUP application.
okay. Okay, good. Item number 10, adjourn. I will make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Reddy. With a motion and a second, I'll call the question. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. The meeting is officially adjourned at 6:26 PM. If I had a hammer, I'd knock my desk over with it.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Good night,
Thank you, guys.
everybody.
Yeah, good night.